Here we go. Well, hello, everybody. My people, my people. Welcome to Convergence Healing, our Cultivating Joy podcast. And on Convergence Healing, our focus is doing things that are about speaking to our pain, loving our pain, engaging with our pain, allowing ourselves to be guided through our healing process through those inner voices, and allowing the pain itself to guide us. And part of that process is to cultivate joy, to move away from the pain itself and to actually move towards joy. As we move towards joy, we get to open our hearts, and a lot of the problems that we experienced on the pain side automatically take care of themselves. So at this time, I wanted to bring in a wonderful guest that I just met. And Ferlie, this is Ferlie Almonte. Ferlie is a image consultant. She is a speaker, an international author, originally from the Philippines. And if anybody knows me, you know I have a penchant for the Philippines. I think it's just a beautiful place. And let's see, she's an entertainer, and she has her own TV and podcast production. So Ferlie is just an inspiration to me. When I met her, her energy was electrifying. And those are the people that I like to surround myself with. People that pick me up when I can't pick myself up. So Ferlie, I really appreciate your energy. I really appreciate your open heart. I really appreciate all that joy that just expands from you. So take a moment, if you will, share some of your own personal life. What's going on for you, where you are? How do you get to be so bubbly?
Oh my goodness. First of all, you know what an incredibly amazing introduction. I am very humbled. It's wonderful to actually hear somebody say wonderful things about me, because I said, wow, I'm really all that, right? And I embrace it. Thank you so very much. And you know what? Like energy, I think we magnetize the same type of energy, and just the same way you felt about me, I felt exactly the same thing about you, because there's something just incredibly, first of all, healing, soothing, and really empowering about your presence. And I want to acknowledge that. I love it. And there was a layer of you that I also found out today, and that we can, of course, explore about later on. So what was your question? You want me to talk about myself?
Oh, well, you got everybody excited. And Mr. Fox, this is Mr. Fox. He decided to join us.
Hello, Mr.
And,
Fox.
we're doing this guerrilla style. I used to do so much production values on all of my videos and all those types of things. I had my own TV show I put out like you, and we were so high end. It was so well done. And now I'm kind of like, you know what, if Jimmy Kimmel can broadcast in his t-shirt from his living room, I can broadcast with my kids in the background too.
You know what I love about what you do right now, and what has come around also as a result of the many changes that we've been through, the challenges that we've been through recently, is that people have become a lot more authentic. So nothing is really staged anymore. You see everybody's home. You see them in their, without fake eyelashes, without looking so dolled up. And I actually love that, because that comes from a place of authenticity. And that's, again, a place where we can begin to cultivate joy. But going back to me, well, okay, where do I even begin? Well, I am one of a product of many adversities and a lot of wins, and also a lot of many disastrous trials in life. I would say that where I would like to begin is I was disabled for over 10 years, about 12 years ago, when I was exposed to an occupational hazard as a respiratory therapist. And that was really the most humbling time of my life, because I would literally just walk 2 steps and I was basically blue, and I was told I could die at any time, because it affected a major nerve in my body. So being disabled, it spiraled a lot of different adversities. And of course, I also had a very not so pleasant marriage before, and I ended up getting divorced in the nastiest way. And during the time that I was ill, and also the time that I was not married and I was single, obviously I prayed to God for another chance at life and another chance at love. And God heard my prayers, and I actually found my one true love back then. And I came alive again.
Yeah.
Tragically, I lost her to pancreatic cancer within 8 months of our wedding day.
Wow.
And during the time that she was dying, I was laid off from my pharmaceutical sales job. I got flat broke, lost my home, had to go into bankruptcy. It was really quite humbling in so many levels. But I chose not to marinate in my misery. In my many moments of darkness, I chose to rise above every single one of them, because I realized that, you know, I do not want to be defined by my adversities. I wanted to be defined by who I become as a result of those many tragedies I've gone through in life. And so I remember saying to myself exactly, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. You know, I am not defined by all of the things that happened to me. I had to find and muster the courage and all the resilience muscles in me to just come alive again and open my heart to finding new beginnings in my life. And ever since that time, I have, written a couple of books, actually 3 books, Empowering Transformations for Women, Pure Genius, and Women Innovators. And I'm actually launching my 4th book called Do You Love Me Enough to Wipe My Ass? And
Ferlie, you did not tell me that title. That is,
yes.
All right, I want to go back a little bit. I have to ask you about that title, but I was going to ask you, how did you overcome all that adversity? How did you actually, one thing you did share with us was that you made a choice. You made a choice. You didn't want to be defined by all of that pain. But you lost function in your body. You lost the ability to be strong and healthy. You lost a relationship that was extremely important to you. You lost this love. How did you consciously, for our listeners, one of the big things I want to do is to give people solutions, right? How do we actually create that life? Because it's one thing to just say, oh, I want a different life. It's another thing to actually live that life. So if you can step back a little bit, how did you make that choice? How were you?
Wow, that's really a very beautiful question and quite empowering. Really, during that time, I remember exactly the time that was like my wake up moment. Actually, there were 2 defining moments of my life. First of all, I remember when the first one was actually when I was going through a really, really tough divorce. And I remember dropping on my knees and like wailing and crying. And somehow I snapped out of it and I said, none of this, the wailing, the crying, the complaining, the anger is not going to change my situation. I have the power in me to change my destiny. And I said, and I damn will, because nobody can do it for me, and I could engage in a pity party, but what would that help? And also another thing, I said, I can marinate in my misery, but if I don't share that with others, they will not find the light in their dark moments. And so there was a part of me that wanted to be able to also bring light and purpose and hope for others. I remember also there was a time, Peter, I sat in my sofa in my family room, and during the time that when my doctor said to me, I don't want to scare you, but this concerns me. The vagus nerve in your body has gotten hyperreactive, that no inhaler or medication can save you once it's triggered. I was like, did I just get a death sentence here? I was stunned. I was speechless. But I remember exactly one lesson I learned at that moment. Live each day as though it's your last.
Ferlie, one moment, we just had a bit of a catch on our feed, so you slowed down and we couldn't understand you. You were about right before you said live each day as if it was your last. What did you say there?
Oh, during the time that my doctor told me that I have a very hyperreactive airway.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a nerve in there that does
The
not
vagus.
respond to inhaler or medication.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just remember I felt like I was given a death sentence. And I just remember that moment, I just said to myself, and the lesson that really awakened inside of me was to tell myself, live each day as though each day is your last. And so because of that, I leave no stone unturned in anything I do in life. I take chances. If I die tomorrow, at least I know I've done everything that I can in this lifetime. And also, I've learned to live a life of purpose, because during that time that I was praying to God for another chance at life and another chance at love,
Mm-hmm.
I said to God, I know I was not in this world. I was not born in this world for nothing. I know I was born to be of service to others. I want to know why. Find me, guide me. I prayed. My faith brought me through it. My faith, and also my resilience, my mindset that there's no other, if I don't do anything about it, it's not gonna change. So I made very wise choices in life. And so for so many people out there, remember, life is full of choices. You can either marinate in your misery, hide in shame, but does that serve anyone else?
Yeah.
No, right?
So
And
in a
so I
very
said,
real way, you actually decided to no longer be a victim. It sounded like you had all of this evidence of pain all around you. And I'm just recapping. I'm just, trying to understand. I'm very interested in those moments because I hear about those moments a lot. And I don't think we pay enough attention to those turning points, those plot turns, or whatever it is, that moment where somebody makes a decision. And it sounds like you were in this very painful place. Your life was being threatened. Your wellness was certainly being threatened. And instead of going to I think you said the pity pot, or in the, in the pit of whatever it was, instead
pity
of
party.
Yeah, the pity party. Instead of having a pity party, you made a choice. You got pushed. I often say, the universe comes by and it knocks gently. And then eventually, if you don't pay attention to the knock, it hits you over the head, right? And it says, hey, learn this lesson now. You have a choice. You can either stay in the pain, or you can actually make a choice and step into a whole other existence. That moment, I don't know if we're ever really aware of how impactful that choice is, or that moment is. But wow, when we actually make that choice, we can look back on it and you can see, like for you, that was a pivotal moment in your life where you made that choice to actually live. You made that choice it sounds like, to have fun, to be of service to people, to connect with people. Yeah.
You know what I call it now? Ferlilicious.
Ferlilicious. I like
Ferlilicious actually means heart-centered, soul-inspired, purpose-driven way of living. So,
oh my God, I love that.
I coined that, by the way. I should put that in the Wikipedia.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Right?
Ferlilicious.
Ferlilicious. So that's the whole point. It was a choice that I had to make. And so it basically moved me forward in a different realm of life that's like so vibrant and so full and so open and so authentic. It's not, I did not hide in shame. I chose for my mistakes and my misfortunes to be lessons. It was, because what they say, you never really lose in life. You either win or you learn. With every single thing that I've done, I've learned. And so I am richer in wisdom.
I love that. Ferlie, if somebody was listening right now and they found themselves in that place, that maybe a similar place to where you were, that place of being surrounded by all the evidence of maybe disease or pain or a broken heart or financial destruction or whatever it is. Because it sounds like you had the 5-category tornadoes coming at you.
Tsunami.
Yeah, exactly. And well, there you go. That's a better Filipino reference. I like that. Yeah, the tsunami. So there was this tsunami of pain that was happening all around you and the evidence of all that pain. And yet you looked beyond that pain. You were able to have a different vision for yourself. And visioning, I think, is something really important, to be able to see yourself in the solution, which is why I'm always asking people to choose joy. You may not feel it right now, but if you could do something that steps you into an experience of joy, even if it's for a moment, just seeing a beautiful butterfly flying outside your window like I am right now, that just sparks that light, that joy that's inside you. But what would you say if somebody listening right now was in their own sort of tsunami that's happening, the tsunami of pain? What advice might you give them?
Actually, one of the best quotes that had ruled my life actually is one of Maya Angelou's. She said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I've done many of those attitude adjustments in my life, because I realized that if I have the power to change it, I will not leave any stone unturned. And quite frankly, the whole idea is that there are choices in life. We have so many different choices. Now, you either choose to rise or you just stay down. And if there's somebody out there, there are all of those adversities that we've gone through typically opens up a new door for opportunities for new beginnings.
Mm-hmm.
So embrace that, acknowledge that, learn your lesson from it, dust yourself and say, okay, I'm ready for the new beginning. And this time you're going to be stronger, you're going to be wiser, you're more courageous. And so go after it, because you cannot undo the past. So let it go. A lot of letting go is also very necessary for us to begin to heal. Do you agree with me?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I have to do that all the time. I call it my practice of forgiveness. And letting go for me is a regular practice of forgiveness, because when I hold on to things, I beat myself up. I beat other people up. I spin in my head about the story I'm telling, and I have to let it go. In order to let it go, that moment for me, that pivotal moment for me when I've had to make those pivots, that shift, is when I actually start to forgive. I actually start to forgive myself for finding myself in this desperate situation that I was in. And I have to forgive myself for not knowing what to do. I have to forgive myself for all the pain that I accumulated to that point. And in that forgiveness, I can let go of all that resentment, all the stuff that I've been white knuckling onto, holding onto. And then comes that moment of flow and getting back in alignment with the universe. I do want to push you just a little bit more, and we only have a few minutes left, because I love exploring. So I hope you don't mind that. That moment, if you could take us, if you wouldn't even mind closing your eyes for a moment if you want to, but however, going back to one of those moments where either you were going to live or you were going to die. And that moment when you chose the joy or you chose life, whatever that is, it's easy for someone who's not in it anymore, right, to be able to say, oh, yeah, I made that choice. But when we're in it, like my own background is I dealt with depression and stuff like that for years. I don't have those issues as much anymore because I've done a lot of healing and I keep moving to joy. But there was a time where when somebody would say to me, hey, just make a choice, I'd be like, I'd want to go, flip them the bird and say, I don't know what that means, or I don't know how to do that, or I wouldn't be able to see that I even had a choice. So I just want to push you a little bit more. And I wonder if you could explore that moment, what was it that triggered in you, that shifted you, that breath that you suddenly took that said, you know what, I can do this? I'm curious about those seconds.
There are very many moments in my life that actually I have experienced that. But if I have to go back to my own mortality during that place, I remember that I knew I was not ready to go. And I said, I found my why. I needed to be alive for my daughter, who was still very young at the time. I knew that I had to keep fighting, and that I have basically mustered every resilience muscle in me, every enlightening thought, every positive thought that I could pull out to know that there is a reason why I still need to continue to live my life. I know that moment I no longer existed. I began to live. There was a shift of existing, just breathing, but I actually I began to breathe life into my own life. It just exploded with so much promise of, possibilities. I know that I said, like, I'm not going to let go, because I actually began to elevate my life and my existence into pure living with purpose. I began to awaken in myself spirituality that I never knew I had in me. We pray. As Catholics, we pray, but I never knew that there was a side of me that was deeply spiritual. And I began to ignite inside of me the reason why I was born.
Right.
And from that moment on, look at me living a Ferlie-licious life.
Well, Ferlie, thank you so much. Thank you for letting me push you to just really explore that with me. I so appreciate it. Thank you for being so honest and transparent. And thank you for being such a beautiful heart. I so appreciate these moments. And I think we might need to continue this conversation and maybe have some more talks down the road.
Yes, because I actually alerted my spouse. I said, like, just be ready on the silent, because I want to introduce you to Peter. We might be, we might be talking about something that you discussed earlier, but maybe that's a different show, right?
Yeah.
Because that is actually a juicy show.
All right. Really? Well, I really love the, there's that, it's a trait or a saying that everybody talks about now, but nobody really participates in, or I don't think they understand that healing is a body, mind, and spirit thing. But I don't think people know how to implement that concept. Like, what does that mean to heal on the spirit level? You took us there. And you took us to that moment of having faith, of being able to connect with source, of feeling that you have a purpose, of making your own purpose, of saying, I want to live and I want to do it for these reasons. That to me is really, really powerful and really important. And I would also love to meet your wife at some point. So
yes, I love that your approach is very holistic. I choose joy every single time, and I celebrate you, and I could not be more grateful for the richness in my life that you have given, with this opportunity to share my story and my message and continue to shine sparkly in this world, because you have a light that just radiates through your soul. And I could not be more grateful for your inviting me here, and I hope that some way, somehow, your listeners were able to also find something empowering and transformational in what I shared.
Absolutely, there's certainly lots of nuggets. I'm sorry.
Be Ferlie-licious.
Be Ferlie-licious. Yeah, I like.
Because you're Peter-licious.
So, Ferlie, before we go and sign off, tell people how they can connect with you.
Well, actually, my social media handler is Ferlie Almonte. It's easy to find me. Ferlie Almonte. That's Ferlie Almonte, Almonte. So you pretty much in all social media, you'll be able to find me.
Great. And give us the title of that last book that's coming out.
Do you love me enough to wipe my ass?
I love
Actually,
it.
in the subtitle of it, the healing power of unconditional love.
We're going to have to talk about that book. So, to another episode soon. Thank you, Ferlie, for being part of the Convergence Eating Cultivating Joy podcast. I so love to have you on here. And to everybody listening, my people, thank you. Keep living your best life. Know that you're loved, and we will see you next time. All right.
Namaste.
Namaste. Ciao.